All cells require energy to function. Muscle cells utilize ATP as a fuel to power contraction and movement. When an ATP molecule is converted to ADP through the removal of phosphate, energy is released. ATP can be resynthesized by adding phosphate to ADP during a muscular contraction. ATP allows the myosin head to be positioned in an energized state. ATP is also necessary to detach myosin heads from acting so that the contraction process can continue. Let's take a look at the sources for muscle energy. The amount of ATP stored in a skeletal muscle cell can only provide muscular activity for 2 to 3 seconds. To continue activity beyond a few seconds, muscle cells must be able to generate additional molecules of ATP. Muscle cells can synthesize ATP from the following sources: creatine phosphate, and either anaerobic or aerobic cellular respiration. The duration of muscular activity determines which energy source is really used. Let's explore each one of these. Let's begin with creatine phosphate. Creatine phosphate, in a process that is unique to muscle cells, donates its phosphate to convert ADP to ATP. One creatine phosphate molecule generates one ATP molecule. The phosphagen system can generate enough ATP to sustain maximum muscle contraction for about 15 seconds only. During periods of muscle inactivity, creatine is again phosphorylated and the muscle creatine phosphate stores are replenished. The muscle is now ready for another burst of activity. Let's take a look at the effect of glucose. When molecular activity extends beyond 15 seconds, creatine phosphate is depleted. The muscle now needs new source of energy. Muscle cells obtain glucose from the blood via the diffusion or by breakdown of stored glycogen from either liver or skeletal muscles. In a series of reactions called glycolysis, glucose is broken down to pyruvic acid molecules. The reactions which convert glucose to pyruvic acid use 2 ATP molecules, but produce 4 for a net gain of 2 ATP molecules. Normally, during aerobic respiration, pyruvic acid is oxidized in the mitochondria during aerobic respiration, producing large amounts of ATP. However, during some activities, not enough oxygen is available to completely break down pyruvic acid. In such cases, the muscle converts it into lactic acid. Most of the lactic acid diffuses into the blood. The liver then converts some of it back to glucose. With these processes, anaerobic cellular respiration can produce enough ATP to sustain maximum muscle activity for about 30 to 40 seconds. What is the role of oxygen in muscle contraction? To sustain muscular activity for hours, muscle cells require new supply of ATP. A series of reactions that require nutrients and oxygen can provide such supply through aerobic processes. The reactions utilize the breakdown of pyruvic acid and other carbohydrates, proteins, and fatty acids. The result is water, carbon dioxide, and great amount of ATP from one glucose molecule. In other words, one glucose molecule can generate a net yield of about 36 molecules of ATP. Aerobic cellular respiration is able to produce enough ATP to sustain maximum muscle activity for hours. Let's take a look at What is muscle fatigue? When a muscle has been working for a period of time, it will eventually reach a state of fatigue and stop contracting. Fatigue can result from several factors, including the inadequate release of calcium ions, depletion of energy sources, inadequate oxygen, and the buildup of lactic acid and other metabolic wastes. Lactic acid buildup occurs when a muscle oxygen supply is insufficient to meet the demands of aerobic respiration. After exercise, oxygen levels increase, thereby promoting recovery. Recovery eventually replenishes depleted components and diffuse away waste materials.